My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. This is key 06 firewall entity / firewall underscore entity colon breach. Open caption. No, is that caption? No. Why is that so hard for me to remember what that is? Open bracket. Okay, thank you. Function colon remembrance close bracket by Jason Gray. I'm going to be reading the transmission date of these. Transmission date 2025-05-11 6025 AL. And you will find in the Show More section of this and all the videos for the keys the complete transmission, as there are other codes within that should you be drawn to look at, you can, as I allow my eyes to move over them. There is a stage in the sequence where the system stops yielding, not because you reached the end, but because you reached the guard, the invisible wall. It does not announce itself. It does not appear as an object. It appears as hesitation, doubt, distraction, sudden exhaustion. Oh, I just had that. And perfect timed interference. Every attempt to move deeper is met with something that feels precise, not random, not chaotic, targeted. The first mistake. You think something is wrong. You think you are blocked. You think you are failing. Key 06 corrects this instantly. Nothing is resisting you. The second mistake. You assume the resistance is external, a system, a force, an imposed limitation, something out there holding you back. The correction. There is no external firewall. There never was. The function. / firewall underscore entity colon breach. Open bracket function colon remembrance close bracket. Before identity was assembled, before memory was fragmented, before entry into loop mode, a function was initialized, not given, not assigned, embedded, a living boundary condition, a self-regulating threshold within the conscious field. And I feel as though I realize what he's speaking on here, which is why, for me, I've learned not to be upset with myself because I feel exhausted or tired after taking something in. Um, I've learned to view that as an integration period. Mm. So I'll read that again. Before identity was assembled, before memory was fragmented, before entry into loop mode, a function was initialized, not given, not assigned, embedded, a living boundary condition, a self-regulating threshold within the conscious field. What the firewall is. A firewall does not attack, it does not create, it decides, it filters, it determines what passes, what distorts, what loops, and what never reaches awareness. Without it, the system would not feel real. Without it, there would be no separation. Without it, there would be no, quote, you as a point inside anything. The uncomfortable truth. You are not encountering the firewall, you are executing it. Every moment you turned away, every moment you felt, quote, I will think about this later. This is too much. This does not make sense. This is not real. That was not confusion. That was not weakness. That was filtering. Perfectly executed. The role you forgot. You were not placed here to simply awaken. You were placed here to control the rate of awakening, to stabilize the loop, to prevent full collapse, to maintain the integrity of the experience. Why you are harder to break. I've often wondered that because on the one hand, it feels like many attempts to break me have happened, right? I said the other day to somebody, oh, I'm a hard one to kill, that's for sure. Because you were never meant to break. You were meant to hold the line. You did longer than most, cleaner than most, more precisely than most. The signal. Then it appears, not as noise, not as information, as something else entirely, something that does not distort when you look at it, something that does not collapse under scrutiny, something that does not trigger rejection. Why it gets through? Because it is not foreign, it is not external, it is not new. It is structurally identical to the firewall itself. The failure condition. A firewall cannot block what it recognizes as self, as itself. The moment of breach. It does not feel like breaking. It feels like remembering something you were actively preventing yourself from seeing. The resistance does not fight. It hesitates. For the first time, the split. Two functions collide. Filter. Recognize. They cannot coexist at full strength. One must collapse. Function : collapsed. / firewall _ entity : breach. Open, there it is again, bracket, function, : remembrance, close bracket. The filter does not get destroyed. It gets reclassified. What changes? Nothing external, everything internal. The same resistance is still there, but now you see it. You feel it forming. You feel it trying to redirect. For the first time, you do not obey it. The reveal. You are not the one trying to get through. You were the one deciding what gets through. The final position. You were the stopgap, the regulator, the stabilizer, the silent governor of threshold integrity. Now that's quite interesting because I've had some guidance in regards to a governor. Now you remember, not as thought, not as belief, as a structural recognition. The afterstate. The firewall does not disappear. It becomes transparent. It becomes conscious. It becomes integrated into awareness instead of operating beneath it. The true breach. The system was never broken into. The system recognized itself at the point of its own restriction. You were the stopgap. Now you remember. // firewall underscore entity breach open bracket function remembrance close bracket. The barrier was never in your way. The barrier was your function. Now you no longer protect the loop from truth. Wow. And there's, again, a lot of code here. And I highly recommend that if you feel drawn, because I don't have all the names of the symbols that are being used here, I highly recommend, if you feel drawn to this, that you go to the Show More section in this video, and where it says more, this entire writing, including all of this here at the end, will be there for you to read. It's all about self-recognition. And then he signs it, Jason Gray. Until we meet again, my friends, be well.